My name is David. This is my email, d.at0team.com, and this is my website where you can find a lot of tutorials, a lot of stuff on Silverlight, Windows Phone, codes, slides, whatever you want is just already covered there. And then on the website, on the Facebook page, we will also give you the link to download the slides and all the codes. Okay, and we are going to show today. If you guys are okay with an email. Okay. Now, 2 words on me. This is where I live. It's an island. And what I'm doing right now is designing apps. I'm a consultant, an IT consultant, and I do what the clients ask, obviously. And so my cover right now is doing app for Windows 8 and Windows Phone. Okay, so it's, I will show you. It's pretty much the same. Okay, just the technology is pretty much the same. And now, everybody knows what Windows Phone is, pretty much, okay? It's just a platform, a mobile platform from Microsoft, and Nokia did probably the best boost to the device. So when Nokia, when Nokia comes in the ground, they sell really good phones. And actually, Microsoft is moving to the next version of Windows Phone. I think it's called the Windows Phone 8, but nothing is official, so don't ask me, I can't answer. Okay. Right now, what you guys will see with a Windows Phone is always this stuff. So big square, okay, and big square means that you can read, you never miss the touch, okay, because it's optimized for touching. And then you will see that every tile, every square is live, which means that the content changes inside the square, okay. So you get both the touch and you get the fresh content, That's the next stuff. Now, okay, end of slides. And we're going on the phone. Okay. Now, first of all, to develop Windows Phone application, you need Visual Studio. Actually, there is Visual Studio 2012, but on Windows Phone it doesn't work. Okay, so you can work on Visual Studio 2010, 2011, 2012. Okay, 12 with Windows Phone. You need Visual Studio 2010, okay, to work with. Now, for people who've never seen Visual Studio, file, new project. Now, when you install the SDK, which comes for free, okay, you will get Silverlight for Windows Phone, and you get a bunch of different kind of applications that you can start from. But we're going to start from a blank application so we can understand what is going on, okay? Now, Windows Phone application is good. Phone app also good. And then he's asking which kind of OS version, 7.0, 7.1. Use 7.1, okay? Now, basically, when you create a new application, it gives you all the stuff you need to get started. Okay, so prepares for you the solution, which comes here. Okay, the solution is a content, is a container of applications. So you can have more than one application inside a solution. Now, when you create a Windows Phone application, you get one technology, which is Silverlight, and you get two programming languages, which is XAML, XAML, which is derivative from XML, and is extended application markup language. And you get C#, which is kind of Java programming, okay, but a little bit more advanced. So, any visual content you get, for example, main page has an extension .xaml, XAML, and it comes with an associated main page.C#, CS. Okay, so those languages comes together, okay, and they work together. You can use C# to do the business logic, and you can use XAML to do the graphics part, okay? So, now, like always, Microsoft, they like to have visual stuff. So, when you make change to the XAML part, which is kind of XML, you can see, you can read the code. Can you read the code, guys? Okay. This is XML, so it's tags. Basically, it's just tagged with attributes. Okay, which kind of easy to understand. Now, when you make changes, for example, we can change, let me say, the background, and we use red. Okay, you can get the changes instantly. Okay, this is basically how it works. But as you can see, it's kind of hard to work splitting the page. So I'm going to use just XAML, and then I'll show you what changes are. Okay, to develop with that, you have an emulator that comes when you install the SDK, and it's quite fast. For example, the Android emulator is not fast at all. This one is, yeah. Yeah, anyway, Android has a lot of or more features that you can use in your phone, but it's kind of hard because I thought that they were using more advanced stuff, you know, to let developers create applications. But Windows Phone is pretty much like iPhone stuff. You know, it's quite close. You can get like registry stuff. You can store your own stuff in the phone. You can control folders, whatever. But anyway, you get speed instead. Now, this is your emulator, and it's pretty much as developing with the phone. So you can test both on phone or with emulator. The emulator is quite faster because you don't have always to connect and disconnect your phone. But the emulator speed depends on your hardware PC. Okay, so if you have a really good graphic card, your application runs smooth. But when you get to the phone, it's not as sure, okay, that you get the same speed. So be careful when you are developing. Now, okay. One of the first things you must understand about Windows Phone and XAML is that everything is hierarchical content organized, which means that if I want to create a button inside a grid, I have to nest it, okay? Which means that if I create a button here, okay, this button belongs to the grid. Okay? It's like in Java, if you have panel and you say panel add new button. Okay? It's the same stuff. Now with we can use content, my button, and let's see, you have a button big like the grid. Okay, they are the same size. Now we can use, like, for example, with 200 and 100, and we can have more size buttons. Okay. Now we can create actions. Okay, in I think 3 different ways. Okay, the first one, double click my button and he writes the code for you. Okay, this is C#. So we are in the back part of the graphic, you know, and we are going to write some event, you know. Now on message box that show hello my button. Okay, hit F5 and you don't have to close them later. Okay, you don't have to close them later, but you can close just the application so them later doesn't load again from the scratch. Now click my button and show us hello my button. Okay, so what I've done is to double click. I've done a double click here, and it creates all the code we need to develop. Okay, to start hitting the button. Now, that's what happened. He wrote a new attribute that says click, so it binds the event from XAML to C#. That's what happens. Okay, so binding the events from XAML to C# is the way to create a graphic part separated from the code part. Okay, so you have 2 files that acts as a unique file, but you can bind them. Okay, for example, now let's create, for example, an event from C#. Okay, and bind them to the button. Now, how can I get the name of the button? How can I tell? I want an event and I want that button. I need a name. So, set here name, x name my button, and here in C# we get underscore my button, okay, which is the same. Underscore means that you get first in the list your variables. Okay, this is just a trick. So I use underscore. Now, my button, dot, click, and we can add a new event. So plus, equal, tab, and tab. Okay, it creates a new event for our button. Okay? Now, I'll show you again. We have my button, click, plus, equal, tab, tab, and we create a new event. Okay? Tab, okay. Plus, equal. He says, do you want press tab to insert? Press tab. Press tab to generate. Press tab. Okay. And it does the job for you. Okay. Now. Okay, message box. And So it acts the same way we were using before. But as you can see, we have all of this stuff that we can cut off our code. So use XAML to write handlers as much as you can, okay, because it's easier to maintain. So cut off from here, go to the XAML part, say click, and he says, oh, there is a new click button, have an handler. Do you want to use it? Yes, I want to. And that's it. So it's kind of clear. Okay, the code is clear instead of using C#. Okay, now that's the main part. What you guys need to understand now is how to navigate from one page to another. Let's say Silverlight is born for the web. Okay, so it acts like a browser, like Firefox, Chrome, whatever, you know. And so you are going to navigate from one page to another, which is a screen, what you see, you know. So we are in the first screen. For example, here, this one is the start page. This is a screen. And this one is another page. And when I click on up, I'm going to another page also. Okay? So, when I click back, down here, I'm going back like the browser. Okay? This is the normal behavior like in Android. Okay? So, first of all, we're going to create a new page. Now add new item, and you guys will see a lot of stuff like Windows Phone landscape, user control, panorama, class interface, code file, text file, whatever. We are going to use a font portrait page, okay, so it's a standard one, and we leave the name page 1, okay, add. So it's pretty much the same, except that there is a page with a button, and there is another page without a button, okay. Now, the navigation service, okay, navigation service means that you can go forward or back, and navigate, and he asked for a uResource, which is kind of URL, okay, so my URL is new URI, which is a string, and he wants to a relative, which is relative to my application, okay, and usually it's backslash page 1.xaml. If I'm doing things good, it should navigate to another page. Page name. You just see that the button is disappeared. If I go back, the button appears. So you probably get better if we change a little bit. For example, title panel, text, my application, page name. Here it goes to second page. Okay. And second page. Okay. You get the basics. Okay. Now, what Microsoft usually does is to give you the stuff you need to get started quite faster. They are probably not refined like Apple, but they are really good to get faster into into the application. You need to get in touch with the application, so they give you all the stuff you need. So, for example, let's start with something more complicated, which is a panorama page that gives you all the wall view that you guys are going to put in your application. For example, you have a screen, a little screen like this one, okay? But you want stuff scrolling more like in this way. So you start scrolling, let me show you, like, this is my people contacts. So the first stuff I can see is something that is also cut. And those are direction codes. So I'm going to scroll down, okay, all the way down to get all the content. So it's like a big page and you have to scroll it, okay. So this is a panorama page. So build add new item and choose panorama page. And panorama page 1. No, it's too long. B page 1. Let me see, page 2. Okay, that's it. Now, just change page 1 from page 2. So we're going to the other one. Hit F5. And let's see what is this panorama. Okay. As you can see, there is, I did no code and I get scrolling stuff with all the animations already done, and I don't have to write a single line of code because they already put anything I need, and I have 2 items to understand that this stuff is scrolling, and I always see a little piece of the next item, okay? So don't try to cut off the next item, okay? Use the predefined stuff. There is a predefined stuff that is a little bit longer, so you get more content. Don't try to hide the second item so people know that there is something to scroll, you know. It's just a little hint on the design, because you guys need to understand that people that is going to use your apps, they should find familiar your app. Okay, so if they find familiar, they get used with the Windows Phone application stuff. All application is pretty much the same behavior, so they act like the same, and you can change the graph, the content. What you need to change is the graphic and the content and the idea also, but not the way people is interacting with your app. Okay, not that. Because they don't expect it. Okay, so they don't know how to interact with your app, except you get a tutorial, but it's not fair. No. Anyway, let's get to the page 2. And as you can see, there is a grid also. There is a panorama, which is inside the grid, okay? And we have panorama item that hosts a grid, so it's nested, okay? There is a grid inside a grid, wherever, okay? So this one is the first grid, and is going to hold all the code we need to create, for example, a list. We're going to have a list, so you can scroll horizontally and vertically your grid, your list, okay? Now, there is a list box, and this is one of the most important controls in Windows Phone, the list box. Because basically you can do almost everything with a list box, okay? Now, simple stuff. List box item, and a list box item is item 1, and let's copy. Okay, inside the list box. Now, hit F5 and my button, click, and so you get all the items. As you can see, it's all full stuff. You know, just item 1, item 1, item 1. We don't want it, we want something more complicated. And so we had basically to use C#. So we aligned those items, and with C# we fill the list. Okay, so first question, how can I fill the list from C#? How can I get these list box from C#?
With the name?
With a name, yes. So you guys get X name, my beautiful list. I usually don't care how much long is my variable name, since Visual Studio just typing the first 3 letters, I get my variable name. So page 2, I get the C# part, and before filling this list, I need to wait that everything is okay, so it's loaded. So I'm going to subscribe loaded event. So loaded event is plus equal tab tab, and now I start writing my code. To fill this list, I get a for, a basic for, which is all pretty much the same in any language. Press tab, and it fills for me the for. And I say Terry stuff. My beautiful list, not items, not add, and I say items plus 1. E. So we get the changes. Now, second page, and I get all these items. Is clear? I have 4, I have 30 items, and I add those items to the list, which is an array of items. Okay? And he's just displaying the string that I'm going to pass to him. Okay, so it's a string plus E, which is what is going to change in my for. Okay, so this one is going to change. So 0, 1, 2, etc. Okay. Okay. Now, follow me on this. You guys need to split code and graphics. So someone can do the job for graphic part, and someone can do the job for business logic part with C#. Okay? So those two guys, XAML and C#, must not be the same stuff. Must not be the same stuff. Which means that I can change graphics independently of data. Okay? So, for example, let's say I'm visualizing items 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I can't visualize squares. I can visualize 30 squares instead of items, because what I see is not always what I get. Okay, so for example, this is the common real application. There is the developer part that is going to change, to make some changes to the application. Okay, to the way we are going to get data, the way we are going to fill all the lists, whatever we are going to do with our application. Okay. but the designers are waiting for creating all the graphic for the new version. Okay, we can't wait for both already. Not always the business can wait for both guys already. So we have graphic stuff, which is behind, and the development part, which is much advanced. For example, and we cannot stop one of the two guys, you know. So what we're going to do is to create a template. A template is something that repeats itself always and always. Always the same, and you fill with different data. Okay, you fill the template with different data. But the template is the graphic part, the data is what is coming from C#. Right? Do you guys understand what is going what is going on? You have something graphic that is waiting for data. Okay? So you have a list box and you have a item template, which gives us the chance to change the template for each item. Okay, so you change the template for one item and you get all item changed. This should be clear. You can't have just one item different. Okay? So data template, and the data template wants only one child. Okay, nested. Only one child. So what I usually do is to get a grid as a single child, and then the grid can host anything. Okay? So here I'm going to use rectangle and say with I don't know, 100 height, 100 fill is orange red, and margin is 10. What do you guys expect from this code?
The rectangle filled with
Maybe
color.
20.
How many?
20.
30. So we get 30 rectangles instead. Item 1, item 2, item 3. Let's try this one. And oh, we get 30 rectangles. Okay. Oh, you guys get the code. You guys get the code from, so you don't have to copy it. Okay. You guys get the code. So, and anyway, there is on my side there is already all this code I'm writing down is already there. So you don't have to copy it. You just get the ideas what I'm doing. Okay. Now, the next question is, how can I get the strings inside here and both the rectangles? How can I get both? Right. Page 1, main page. Oh, okay. Before diving into this, because it's one of the hardest part that you guys must understand to develop on this stuff. Before to dig into this, do you have any question? No question? Is everything clear? Yeah, the concept. I need the concept. Is everything clear about the concepts? Okay. Now, let's take this one. Text block, which is just a label, okay? And we get the text. We get pizza and spaghetti. And we can change the font size, okay, which is 32, and that's it. Let's see, what is this guy? Okay, it's up there, okay, and we had pizza and spaghetti. Now, yep, okay. I need to change this text from C#. So again, what I'm going to do, put a name. Yes, name underscore pizza. And here I can change it. When everything is loaded, and we get pizza dot text. I like it. Okay. Or okay. When I click the button, it changes. Okay. Yeah, what I'm doing is just changing the text, okay? One more, font up 2, and I hit the button and I change the text, okay? But this is still a little bit too tight with C#. You guys need to know the name to change the text. Is it too tight still? And we have a little bit more flexibility if we don't use those names. It's not always possible. It's not always possible to just delete all names and use this technique. But you guys can have it, and it's quite simple. So, delete this one, and let's use, for example, let's have the name, and we can change, we don't have the text, okay? I'm just clearing all the text. So, what you see here is nothing, okay? Because we don't have text yet. Now, every single visual item has something called data context, which is like a black box where you can put data and they get it. Okay, so you put the data into the data context, your data, anything you want, list, web pages, whatever you want, you can put down there. And you are going to get it from XAML, okay? So, first of all, we use the data context, and we are going to, instead the text and data context. I put into the data context, I like it, and I'm going to receive it from XAML, okay? So here I use text, and instead writing some text I use binding. This is how we bind text with text. Okay, so those guys doesn't need to know each other. C# doesn't need to know XAML because they put into data context something, and XAML, through the binding, get it. Okay? So it's like a black box where you don't know what's happening. You don't need to know what's happening because, believe me, it's kind of hard what's happening there. And you just throw it somewhere and you get from the other way. Okay? So, let's hit F5, and what we expect is that when I hit the button, happens the magic. I like it. So I throw to the data context, I like it, and I get through binding. Okay, so the binding is the way we are going to use XAML. Now,
Excuse me. But isn't this creating a little bit of chaos if we have a lot of data? I mean, you just threw a text, I like it, and you get it. But if you go and put a lot of data with that data context.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's the next step, because you guys understand that if you put the data into the data context, whatever you want, how do you filter? Because you have a lot of data that
Exactly.
is going to into the page. So first thing, data context. Can you guys see how things are going? Like this grid, this text block is inside a grid, and this grid is inside another grid, as you can see here. This is the closing tag. Okay, so we have a grid inside a grid, and inside those we have a text, right? What I usually do is to throw stuff through the data context of the main page. So everybody inside the main page that gets those binding stuff. Okay. So as you see, there is a phone application page. Inside phone application page there is a grid, and there is another grid inside, and there is another text block inside. So it's all nested. But the phone page actually is a visual stuff. As I said, the data context belongs to the visual stuff. Anything, okay? Any visual stuff has data context. You guys get it? Are you go with that? Now, this means phone application page data context. I throw it to the main application context, and he passes to all the child and says, hey guy, do you have anything to bind? Take it. Do you guys have anything to bind? Get it. Okay? Through all the childs. You can go in the opposite way, but you can go just down. Okay, one way down. Now, just to prove it, 1, 2, okay, it works. Okay, I throw a string through the data context of the main page, and someone else get it because it's inside the data context. Okay. Now, your question. I throw to them a more complex data, right? This is your question. How, for example, what I'm doing now is to create a new class, which is the class person, okay? And it has name and surname. So we have two texts, one with name and one with surname. Okay. Stop it. And this is the so-called model. So model. I'm creating a new namespace, a new class called person. Okay. This guy has a string name. Okay. I'm going to clear this stuff, and then I get surname and surname. Okay, and I'm clearing this stuff. Okay, just because we don't need. So we have a name and a surname. Okay? And those are strings. Get main page. Main page.cs. Person. P. New person. P dot name equals pizza. P dot surname. I like it. And then through the data context, I can throw just P, which is a complex stuff. I created a person which holds 2 strings, and I just let it go through the data context because it can handle anything. It expects anything. Questions? Now,
Yeah.
how we can filter them? I want, what do you want? Name or surname?
Name.
Name. Name. So you expect pixel.
Yeah.
Me too. Do you guys have a question? Okay, now in about 3 minutes we are going to have the pause, okay? And then before the pause I'm going to repeat all this stuff because I know that is kind of hard to get it because I needed about 2 months to get all the way down, you know, because when you are alone and you are studying all this stuff, how they can make it, okay? Because I understand what you guys are doing now. So, first thing, binding is a magic word that let us delete the names. So, from C#, you don't need to know what's happening in XAML, okay? So you get graphics separated from the code. That's the main reason why we are doing this. So when you create your graphic stuff, you don't need to know what is happening in the C# or business logic. Okay. Now binding lets you filter all the data you need through the names, because if I write here, for example, a variable like this one, my application doesn't crash, but it doesn't get the name because it goes to see what kind of properties my class person has. Okay? So he's going to watch what kind of properties, name and surname, what kind of bind, string. Okay, you have a properties called name, you have text, so I can convert to text what you guys are asking for. Okay, so it just converts it. So the only 2 values are name or surname. That's it. Okay. Otherwise, your application works, but you don't get what you guys are expecting. Okay. So binding binds properties, links properties. Okay. So this stuff gives you a lot of flexibility. A lot of flexibility. Just to prove it, this is some variable, whatever, and 1, 2, yeah. Your application doesn't work as you expected because it is not showing pizza, but is not crashing. Okay, which is just kind of good. Anyway, stopping all this stuff. Anyway, the output says Windows data error, binding expression. So error S99999 property is not found. So this is your error log, and it says, hey, you are binding something that doesn't exist. Check the name. Okay, check the name. Now, are you happy with that? Okay, so I think it's a little bit more clear. It's not really easy to face at the first time, because you guys are going to put inside each button the label, each text the text, you know, and you are probably not used to uncouple those stuff. But once you get used to, you can write a lot of applications reusing your code, because you do binding and you borrow, for example, C# stuff from other applications without need to change all the graphic part, because your application probably doesn't crash. Because if you don't need that data, that's it. You don't put the bind. That's it. So you can borrow all the code from your applications. And believe me, because first of all, because I've made about 50 applications on Windows Phone, and about 40,000 people is using my application. 40,000 is a lot of people, and they are quite happy with that. Quite sometimes they crashes. Believe me, sometimes they crashes. But no people saying this stuff is telling me something that I don't understand. Okay, because they're just filtering all the stuff and reusing the code. You know, so probably it crashes because my C# part doesn't work well. But you know, shit happens, as you see. Okay. You guys want 15 minutes pause? Okay. No. Stop it. Okay. Options. Okay. I'm putting here 10 minutes so you guys see the time is flowing. But you know you have 15 minutes. But be back in time so we can stop in time, okay? Guys, I was thinking about giving you two options for the second hour. The first one, which I actually prefer, is we can see what we can do with Windows Phone, like more advanced stuff, okay? So probably you guys are not going to understand like everything, but you get the point how much you can stress the technology, you know, which is not kind of easy to find on the web, how much far you can go. Or you can get a lighter part because you guys are tired, and so you get all the like simple functionalities like what I get from toolkits, what I get from, for example, built-in stuff. And so it's kind of having few demos on what is ready for you guys. So it's up to you. The first choice is we're going down to C#, and I'm going to explain you obviously what is going on, and so you get how much far you can stress all the technology. How many guys want to go this way? Raise your hands up. Okay, I think it's pretty much the majority part. Okay. So sorry for the others. We can go this way. Now. Just to make both you guys happy, okay? There is a sample kit, like everything in Microsoft. When they release an SDK, that gives you all the samples you need to develop stuff. There is the Silverlight toolkit. Just type it on Google and you get it. And it comes with a lot of samples. Let me show you some of them. Silverlight toolkit and open with Visual Studio. Just to know what's around. Okay. Yes, I like it. Okay. Let it work a little bit. Okay. This is pretty much showing what you guys have already on the phone. One of the best stuff you get is the live tiles, which show you content, fresh content from internet, for example, and they call it hub tiles, for example, food, and food are going to show, for example, dessert and what kind of, for example, fruits, beignets, pretzel, whatever you want to show. For example, if you are going to show cars, you show the name of the car, or you can have different colors, whatever you want to use it, you know. And then you get places, so you can mix pictures with text. Okay, they are built in, so they have a property. Put here image and put here the text, and it will do all the job for you. Okay. And you have all gestures like pinch, zoom, etc. All the examples, and you have, for example, a progress bar. Let me say time, date, and time. Okay, so you can convert from one list to another, from time to time. For example, Pacific time to for example, European time, whatever, and they do the job for you. And autocomplete box, which means that you type text and it shows you the possibilities you have. And you have let me see, font text box or tile effect, which is a little nice feature when you see like the 3D stuff. When you click a button or any tile, whatever, you get a little 3D stuff, and it's called tilt effect, and it's built in. I'm probably going to show you how to use it. It's just one line of code, and you just get the sample toolkit, and you have all the stuff C# and XAML part all together. Okay. Now, the question before was, okay, now I have the binding, and I want to bind more than one person to the list. You know, we have a list with all the red squares. Okay, and now we want to bind it a lot of people. Okay, how we can do it? It's kind of easy. It's really kind of easy. This is your start. Okay, so binding name. Now let's change back this comment this one, so you guys at home get both ways, okay? And then let's go to page 2, to the C#, and okay, instead of adding only strings, we are creating each time, for each cycle, we are creating a new person. Okay, and so person P equal new person, P dot name plus E, so we can have different kind of names. P dot name equal name plus E. And then we are going to add to the list, my beautiful list, items, add, and we can add anything. Okay, so we're going to add E. So for each cycle, we're creating a new person, and we are filling this list instead of strings with person. Okay, now let's go back to the list to remember the data template, which can hold just one child. So we added a grid, and inside a grid we can add anything we want. Okay, now my best guess is this one. If I can create a new rectangle each time, I can create a text block, okay, like we did before. But this time, for each cycle, we are going to create both a rectangle and both a text block. So the text block is going to hold our name with binding. That's it. It's the same way. So what I'm going to do is to open up main page, and I'm copying this guy. So copy, going back to page2.xaml, and I'm pasting it here. So we get a bunch of names. That's it. Okay. Do you guys understood this step? Now the grids, what it does, it overlaps all the items, as you see, name 0, name 1, name 2, etc., and it overlaps them. So we need to split them up, and we are going to use another container, because we are going to use an automatic layout to lay down all these guys. There is it's kind of easy. You guys probably, for those who has a little bit of quite long skills of programming stuff, that you guys know the stack, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know. And here we have stack panel, which aligns stuff one after one. And so the closing tag is stack panel, and we can stack stuff vertically or horizontally. So we can change the orientation, and we are going to change to horizontal. Let's see it have 5, and yeah, actually we have name 1, name 2, name 3. So you guys get what we are doing, okay? So do you remember each rectangle has a margin, which is the distance from another object, okay? So if we just leave it like this one, we get a little space between stuff, between items, you know. Now, so we have our application, and just for instance, you guys don't have to do all this stuff alone. Microsoft has another software to make all the graphic part, which is called the Blend, Expression Blend, and you guys have a lot of functionalities hidden, so you don't have to know how to write down all this code. But I wanted to show you guys because you get more control over your code, because obviously the automatic code which blends right is not always really clean, is not always automatic layout. He puts a lot of margin, you know, so stuff is not well aligned if you change the screen. Okay. This is expression blend, and as you can see, guys, this is your button in the first page, and it's kind of a heavy program. Okay, I've got page 2 where I have my application page. As you can see here, you get all the hierarchy, and see layout root is my first grid. Then inside there is a panorama. There is a panorama item 1. Inside this grid there is a my beautiful list. Okay, this is how we wrote the code. Okay, and actually I selected the list, and here is my list. Okay, and if I go through this little button, okay, I can edit that template, like the item template that I added by hand, you know. And this item template, edit my current template, and you see our rectangle. So from here I can change, for example, the color, because all the properties are visual properties. So for example, I can change the transfer, and I get, for example, a little 3D stuff. And I can change, for example, the fill, like the first color will be red, whatever you want to do, guys. Just hit F5 and you get the changes. Yeah, my button. Okay. So it's kind of easy because it takes like a few seconds to get all the stuff aligned. And then when you get back to Visual Studio, he understood that you edited the same file, so you get the changes instantly. And as you can see, he fills with all of stuff. All this code is wrote by expression blend. Okay, so my fill is to here. Okay, and I want my fill red. No, it was orange, right? Okay. Now I'm adding to the list instantly. Okay, so I can do some more complex stuff. So I can create my own list of people, and getting all this list, for example, from internet, for example, from my database, whatever you have this list, and you can fill the list whenever the data is ready, you know. So you don't have to add it at the first side, you know. So the first step you have to understand is that you need to create a data path. This is called design patterns. Design patterns makes you uncouple data with graphics. Anybody has done any design pattern? One? A little bit, two? Okay. If you want your code being stable, which means it doesn't crash each time you launch it, you must do design patterns. Otherwise, you don't have the feeling of how stable your code is. You don't have the full control of your code. You must split all the functionalities and you mix them up with the design pattern. Okay, so split functionalities, mix them with design pattern. So, first of all, we have a specialized list which holds all the data. Okay, specialized list, and we put it into another folder. In folder model view model. Okay, add a new class which is called people view model. Okay. Now, inside this one, we are going to create a new class, a new list, public observable collection of person. People, new observable collection. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have a collection of person. Okay? Each person holds the data. Okay? Do you guys get it? Okay. Why I'm using the observable collection? Because I can change the collection at runtime whenever I want, and I get changes, and I get the changes back. Okay? In the view, what I'm going to do is to change data, and I want the changes happening also in the view without calling any refresh stuff. Okay, I want that automatic. The first reason is this one. The second reason is for someone who developed, for example, C#, is I can use either a list, okay, just like list of person, whatever. But this stuff has something called observable, which is a particular kind of code integrated into the list that watch for changes. So this guy is about 90 times more faster. It's about 90 times faster than a list. 90 times means that you can have 1 million of people and you don't get almost the difference. Okay, you don't get it. Now, first of all, we are not going to fill this list, but we are going to create a new observable collection. So people okay, which holds a collection. Okay, new model, new people, new model. Now, instead of adding to my beautiful list, we are going to add view model dot people, which is our list, our observable collection. Did you guys get it? Are you guys following me? We have a class with a list. We are going to create all the people inside that list. Okay. People add P. And then my beautiful list equal list item source, this time equal view model. I can pass anything, right? Now, oops. Okay, now, watch this. I have a class that have a list, okay? This list holds all the people we need to, okay? So it's like, it holds 30 people, right? And I'm going to pass to my beautiful list into the data context. So, what we expect is that the data context holds all the stuff, and we must get the list back, right? Because right now, just to show you, I hit my button. Oops. I don't get anything. We have?
We haven't put anything in data context.
Yes, we did.
Yes?
Yeah. We did. We are missing one step. Where is our step?
In the XAML page, no?
In the XAML page, yeah. There is another step in the XAML page. Yeah.
Well, we have to extract the data from data context.
Yeah, we have to extract data from data context. So we need a binding. Okay. So into the list box, we have the item source. Okay, and we bind this item, binding people, because our list, our variable is called people. Okay, so we put a class into the data context, we get the data context and we get people, and people holds persons. Oh, that's sad. Oh, you guys are missing. Okay. Now, I have all this stuff, okay? Apparently, I did anything I needed. Apparently, I did everything worked fine until this time, right? Because everything goes smooth until you get binding, you get properties with name, and you get properties with surname, and you get properties whatever. But at the time we bind dynamic lists, we don't get refreshed content. At this time, we don't get refreshed content. Apparently, we did anything. You know, adding people to view model, adding the data context, binding stuff, whatever. We need one step forward. Okay, we need something that will be called each time the content is added. Okay, so we need to create a class that does the job for us. This class, I'm going to put this class inside this guy, and I call it notify base. Do you guys understand this passage? You get anything binded, okay, but you don't get someone who calls, hey, refresh the content, hey, refresh the content, hey, refresh the content. Each time I add a new guy, okay. That's what I'm doing. So, I notify property change it, and I get npc, and I get a method on change which will be called each time I will add anything. Okay, I'm calling this method that advertises or advertise the user interface that something has been changing. Okay, this is standard stuff. Okay, any developer that is going to use this kind of design path is going to use this method. So you get standard stuff. Okay. Yeah. So just make changes, and so we get, instead of just public observable collection, we have observable collection of person, which is people, and each time I get changes, notify base. Okay. Can you see? I just changes this method and I added on change. Okay. And then in person, extends notify base, and you guys have on change, and the name is name, and surname. Okay, and we change surname. All right. Hopefully everything. Okay. New reference exception. This is one of the most common error actually that I'm doing when I'm developing Windows Phone applications. Which what I've been missing is to initialize my collection. And you see here, people is not initialized, so new observable collection, and then hit F5, okay? So I had a new content. Okay. We had to create a new guy that updates each time it's called, okay? And we added a method on change that is binding to the property, so we have dynamic content, as much dynamic as we want, and we get always refreshed content on our page. Basically, that's what happens. Okay. Questions? No questions? Everything okay? Do you want to see another time? This one? Okay. Okay. Let's take the main page from scratch. We have a text block, and we don't want to know the name, so we create a binding to the text. Okay. And we bind to a name, which is the property of our class. We don't even know the class. Okay, what kind of class is. because we passed to it through C#. Oops. Do you remember? So main page. Okay. This was the code. Okay. New person, etc., 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 and we pass to the context P. Now, the next step is to create a list, okay? And inside a list, we have a data template, right? And inside the data template, we have the same stuff. So we have a text block with binding content, okay? I hope you guys got these steps. Okay, so we pass to the list a list, okay, that holds all the persons. Okay, so it says, okay, I've got a name, 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 and I'm going to show it. But this stuff works until we use direct content, not dynamic, direct. So we get the list and we say, okay, this is all you need to know. That's it. Okay, we can't add anything, we can't add stuff, or better, we can add them, but we are not going to visualize them, because when you add stuff at runtime, you are not going to visualize until you tell to your interface, hey, I've got new content. Hey, I've got new content. Okay, each time. So we needed to create a specialized class, which is